Call.
Yep.
And call order the meeting of the Mansfield School Roof Building Committee, November 1st at 8:30. First order of business is approval of the minutes, September 21st, 2023. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Got a second? Second by Paul. All those in favor? Well, there were three of us here, so we're all in favor.
All right.
Motion approved. Next item of business, that project update. Seemed like a awful lot of stuff on that update. Alan or anyone at that meeting like to just give us a thumbnail sketch of what went on?
We took a look at the roof and we walked over the problem areas for one, and then all the trenches up there. And they agreed that if we add these extra cut-ins to the end of the trenches to provide a drain down the building, that would prevent from water building up to any level where it would be a problem.
Okay.
The manufacturer was there also, looked at things, and they were actually in general happy with the work, but did agree with the same premise.
And was that including the baskets they want to put around?
They thought that would be a good idea too.
Yeah. Now, if they put baskets there, what's going to stop the rest of the drain from clogging? And
There's already a smaller basket on the
Correct.
drain, just that one tends to build up pretty quick. So they're planning on like a bigger one to go over the smaller one that's there. So the bigger one will take longer to collect items to actually clog up. So it will still allow water to flow in and then go down that other one. So it's sort of like double protection.
Alan, aside from presumably a fair amount more cost, you're comfortable with just a larger basket as opposed to something that would kind of run like a full length of the trough? Because obviously then you're increasing your surface area and your edges, and I mean you still nothing would go the rest of like time without having to be maintained, but it just seems like you're buying yourself a lot more area that water would be able to get through. I mean, I don't know if that's exponentially more cost, if there's some reason why that's not practical, but I guess I'm just a little concerned that slightly larger basket, you know, I'm not sure how much more time that buys us.
Yeah, I think, I mean, a screen over the whole thing
Yeah.
definitely would add more time. Yeah, so like your own personal gutter and doing that kind of thing. But plus you probably have some things that might blow off other than catching it, but
yeah, well, that's what bothered me. And at the last meeting, we were talking about that. And I know I've got a drain in my yard. When we get heavy rain, it fills up and I end up with a big puddle, no matter what I do to keep that drain clear, because leaves and stuff are gonna back up against that drain and stop water from going through, and we still may have that problem. Did they even discuss putting something over the high surface, well, like gutter helmet or something that, you know, that they would do?
I do not believe that was discussed, but again, I think it would give you more time. Yes, I do believe it, because it's more, you're covering more area and definitely would give you more time. The leaves would probably catch here and there on that, and then.
Well, you brought up something else that I hadn't thought of. I mean, I don't know. In theory, it seems like it would be sensible or to be expected that if you had something that's more flush with the top, even if it does collect things, dry out, the wind's blowing, it kind of, again, it still has to be maintained, but anything that ends up down in a gutter, now it's like protected from, it's just going to sit there. It's
trapped.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's another.
Would that be if we opted not to do the scupper system? Because I think if the
I think you still
scuppers
gotta
are there,
Yeah.
I'm less concerned about that.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me the issue is when the water rises above the trough. And if we have the scuppers, then I wouldn't be as concerned. But if we're not doing that option or not pursuing that, then I agree. Then we need to think about how do we mitigate any of the debris that's up there.
Any other comments? Paul?
I have some questions in terms of specs. Hey, how much this is gonna cost? If you break down just what we're talking about now, how much extra is gonna cost? Who bears that cost? If this wasn't in the spec, if the building was built as designed, if the roof was built as designed, were we not thinking of this? I'm just a little bit confused and concerned about what this means to the town financially, and also I'm assuming that there's plenty of money to take care of this problem if the town has to bear any cost. I'd like this broken down.
If I could, I don't know, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you, Paul.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Paul, I think I can at least respond to part of your question. We are recommending this change or these change orders for additional, basically this is an improved design. The code allows us to overflow the roof edges for secondary drainage. So in an emergency where the drain backs up, as long as the water can flow off the roof within about 4 or 5, maybe 6 inches of the edge, it will flow over. And that is the case here, is the roof edges will flow over without danger to the structure or the roof itself. In this case, we know that if we can take the water off that much faster, in an overflow condition, that it will not only it improves the drainage, but also it prevents any potential backup that will fill the troughs themselves. And that's the key here is the troughs have such a large surface area, as we know, that we really want to avoid them backing up all the way up to the roof level, which is 6 inches of the trough itself, and then flowing from there. We'd rather catch it when it's only 2 inches or 2.5 inches above the trough. If there is a backup, then that secondary will fill and then flow right off to a catch, to a drainage. I can't think of the term right now, but the catch box at the end. That's what we're recommending, to take that water that much quicker off the roof. And it is an improved design. It goes over and above what the code requires. But we think it's applicable and a good design for this particular roof, because it has this issue where drains can back up, and we've experienced it with 2 or 3 of them. We think that would be a good solution to this issue. And I won't say it's foolproof, because Mother Nature fools us all at times, but we think that this design really has great potential for low maintenance drainage without any concern that it's going to back up.
Paul, there might have been something that was circulated and I missed with like spec or an illustration of what the scupper assembly will look like. But so as I understand it, you have this long trough, and so we're basically talking about the terminal end of the trough. So I think I've seen, if I'm envisioning the right thing, I think I've seen scuppers that were both open and closed. So is this basically an open situation? Like we're just essentially creating a valley that goes all the way to the edge of the roof, or would there be like a closed, like little pipe at the end that would be potentially more subject to getting plugged with its own debris?
This would be an open design. So we would literally, in the end of the trough, I think it's usually about 6 or 8 inches from the roof edge. It's basically the
Yep.
depth of the blocking. So
Yep.
we would cut through the blocking, be able to lower it. And our recommendation to the roofer is that if these are put in, that they're put into the depth of that trench is 2 inches above the trough depth.
Okay,
And that way, in a normal rain event, these would not be activated because we don't want every rainstorm to be using this overflow system. Only when the troughs truly fill up, then it's a spillover to this new scupper box and new downspout right to grade. So really we want to engineer that so it's open to an open trough, open scupper box, and then goes straight vertical down the side of the building.
Without any little overhang from the scupper to try to keep water off the side of the building. Scuppers with like a little ledge.
Yeah, it would actually be a collection box. So we'd put a collection box on that scupper so it would collect the water from the trough and then bring it down a downspout. So it would protect the brick or the siding on the building. We wouldn't want that to be inundated with water. And then at the base of the downspout, of course, we kick the water away, whether it's just a simple 90-degree bend or a 90-degree bend in a splash blocks that gets the water away from the building.
Thank you.
yeah, I guess just, Paul, you're the professional, I'm sure you're thinking about it, but just because we've seen the debris that's collected in the existing drop, I just think, we want to make sure that however this is designed, it's as less prone to more debris, whether it's leaf litter or something else collecting in the scupper and somewhere causing water to back up because like it's not clearing.
Yes, understood.
Questions?
David?
Following through, I'll use all my question at once. Following through what Paul said, A, is the town going to incur any extra expense? B, how soon can we have this in place? And C, have we gotten any water into the building since our last meeting?
The C, I can answer that. We have not, no.
Yep, I'm trying to.
Okay, happy about that.
For A and B, the contractor did send over a proposal, and it's really 3-part proposal. The first part was for these scupper boxes and cutting in the extension of these from the troughs. That cost, I believe, was somewhere around $7,500, maybe $7,200. Again, we looked at it. We looked at the man hours and the materials, and I did send an email back to the contractor to confirm that this was for all. We had identified 12 locations on the roof, and he replied back, yes, that this price did include all 12 locations. And if that's the case, we would definitely recommend it as fair value. And then the other 2 parts of the proposal were for the baskets that Alan had mentioned around the primary drains to keep the leaf debris away from the drains so they don't clog. And we think that's a good safeguard. Certainly would help with keeping these drains free flowing. And there were 2 prices for that, one for the flat roofs and one for the trough roofs. And each one was around 7,000 or so. So the total between the 3 proposals, I believe, was somewhere 21 or 22,000. I'm sorry, I don't have the math in front of me.
22,273 if all the figures add up.
Yes, I think that would be it.
Okay.
How
Paul?
soon can we have this?
I believe it's material that is available, and I think in the proposal it was a matter of less than a week of work. I think it could have been 4 days worth of work total between the 3 proposals, maybe 5 days.
Yeah, he has 3 days for the troughs, and 2 more days for the baskets. So about a week's worth. I see Imperial is at least listed here on the call. I don't know if Bruce is there.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do it right away. That's not a problem.
Go ahead, Paul.
Anyway, since this is, an owner requested change order. I am assuming that this is, the town's responsibility, is that correct? Financially. It's basically, we've experienced torrential rains, as the actual roof construction is winding down. And based upon that experience, as to what the roof was apparently able to accommodate and not accommodate, it is we who are requesting, the contractor do this. And because it would then be, of course, be our financial responsibility, correct, Paul?
Correct. Yes, this is an improved design that we're recommending to improve the drainage.
And I would say the most important question that David asked is about really obtaining the raw materials to get this job done. And the most important thing that Doug confirmed is that, yeah, we got it. So I'm okay with this.
Paul, would you agree that, that this would be eligible? Any reason why this wouldn't be eligible for partial reimbursement through the school construction grant program? If it had been part of the original design, I know it'd be cleaner and neater, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's always difficult to predict what the state will accept or not accept in a change order, because it is a change order. However, they do reimburse for emergency overflow drainage. So as you had mentioned, if this was part of the original documents, then it would be accepted as far as we can tell. So as a change order, that means it should be as well. Again, there's no guarantees with the state, the way they rule on things, but I think we have a good shot at getting reimbursement for it.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Hey, any more questions about? Let's move on to the,
Ryan, could we get a
Maria?
formal motion for the change? Could we get a formal motion for the change
Yeah,
order?
yeah. Need a motion for the change order.
we haven't gotten there yet. It's B, we're on A.
Oh.
I mean, that's fine with me. If you want to jump right into that.
Okay, yep.
We can make entertain a motion to go ahead with the change order for the cost of $22,273. David, second?
John?
Yeah,
Well, make a motion or I'll second, whichever one you want there.
make the motion. Any second?
I make a motion for the engineering change order to proceed.
Do I have a second? Oh, Bill, okay.
Mag Jack, just a clarification, if I would want the motion to have the exact amount that David is proposing that we pay. And also some description of the area and the work, so that there's no question that we know what we're voting on and know what we're talking.
Would you like to make that motion, Paul?
David's motion's on the table. I think it ought to be clear. It ought to be, it could be, there's nothing wrong with the motion, but I think it needs to have the exact amount, the reason, and the area. So that there's nobody looking at the minutes afterwards would raise any questions, and nobody should have to listen to the tape of the meeting in order to know what was going on.
Do we have an estimated price of this engineering change order?
I've got 22,273. There was an error in the figure, so I just revised it, but that should cover it.
Well, I'll add that to the motion then that we
Good.
allocate that much money, 22,500, did you say?
73.
73 for the engineering change order.
If I may, you may want to reference page 15 of the special agenda packet, which specifically talks about quantities, materials, and lists all of the costs as part of the motion prior to having a formal PCO written. You do have that information on page 15 of your special agenda packet.
Sounds good to me. I would, Dave, I would include it as Scott suggested.
You want that? You want to add that to your motion, David?
Yes. Yes.
All right, then we're referencing page 15 of the agenda package. Okay, all those in favor?
The only thing I would say is on the agenda, item number 1 only lists 2 overflow drains. Paul has stated and Bruce confirmed that it actually does account for all 12. So, but
That way, are you saying that price includes all 12?
that is our understanding, yes.
Okay, all right.
All right, all those in favor? Okay, approved. Next item was the it's number 4, memo updating the photovoltaic portion of the project. And this memo includes actually a couple of items that we said we weren't going to pay last month, if I remember correctly. But the first pay bill was for this goes to work that was completed in March 2023 for the cost of $3,828.50. That was for the period from March 31st, 2023. This, you just have to decide if we're going to continue paying bills or not.
So I have a question about a process related question here. So this is the subcontractor of the general contractor of Imperial. So any payment to the photovoltaic subcontractor would be paid ultimately, they would be paid directly by Imperial. So this would be payment remitted to Imperial, and then we would be, our expectation, of course, would be that the photovoltaic company would be paid. Bruce, I guess if you're there, it's just a general operating practice. Do you not pay subs until you're paid?
Correct.
Okay. I would feel more comfortable under the circumstances, given some of the open questions that we have about, you know, some of the issues with the water penetration and work that was already done. I'm wondering if we can authorize payment to this subcontractor directly by the town, so we know, the town knows that the subcontractor's whole. And we don't have to question, you know, whether or not, because we've run into this in the past with another project where there was issues towards the end with final payment, and then the subcontractor didn't get paid by the general contractor. So I guess Scott, I don't know if you or anybody else wants to weigh in from a process standpoint about that, about the town perhaps paying this vendor directly.
They want to pay the subcontract directly because they don't trust people.
Oh, okay, well, we can pay them and get a lien waiver from him to show that we paid him.
Okay.
That's proper protocol.
I don't really this is Bruce Imperial. I mean, like kind of going around us to pay them, it kind of messes up our books or something, but Heather's here to speak on that. But typically we get lien waivers from them and, you know, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right to me, so.
Yeah,
We-
agreed. If this is a final payment, I would say, get the lien waiver from Imperial, that is proper. And then if this is a final payment for the photovoltaic side of it, then I would pay that invoice, but not until you receive the lien waiver. That
Yeah,
is your
yeah.
protection and certification that the trade contractor has been paid.
That works for me.
We also, at the end of the job, we do a affidavit. We do it for the state that we provide that expresses that we paid the job in its entirety as well. So it's just another level too of comfort if that helps.
I'm confessed to being a little bit confused, and I agree you straighten it out. The general practice I had thought was for the owner not to pay subs. Because the subs don't work for us, they're hired and chosen by the general, which in this case is Imperial. I heard some conversation about us paying a sub directly, which is foreign in my experience, as it at least pertains to the Yukon contract. When there is a dispute between the general and its sub, sometimes the sub would come out and start threatening us. In my prior life with Yukon, which was the owner. And I understand lien waivers are part of what happens in this process, so I get that. But I'm some concern. I think I heard Maria say something about why don't we just pay the sub directly? And I'm unfamiliar with that. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Well, I think the lien waiver process that Scott's alluding to, I mean, I guess that provides, that assurance, and I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, the sub-trade contractor, once paid, will provide a lien waiver back to in this case Imperial, who will submit it and say, yes, it certifies I'm releasing any liens on the project because I have been paid in full. So that is your assurance that he has been paid properly, and at that point, then you can release the funds.
I agree with Paul that our contract is not with the subcontractor, so we should be paying the person that we had the contract with.
Right. Yeah. And Imperial will provide you the lien waiver that they receive from their trade contractor once they've paid their trade contractor. You get the lien waiver, and then you can release payment to Imperial.
Has there been any complaints that we haven't paid our subs or materials or supply houses? I don't think so. So why is this an issue now?
I just raised it because it was, as I said, I'm not experienced in the business. From my limited experience, and there's certainly no one suggesting that Imperial has ever or would ever not pay what it does. I just simply needed an explanation of what the process is and how and why it's different from my experience. That's all. And I received that explanation.
I mean, the whole purpose of the performance and payment bond is make sure everybody is paid. Am I correct or not correct?
Yeah.
So if this was gonna go this route, then why give a performance and payment bond and pay for that? If it was gonna go the other way. I don't understand the doubles. I don't understand this myself, I mean, it's been no.
I'm happy with I have no problem with Imperial or I just wanted the process to explain to me. I'm happy with the explanation of you and of the others, and I'm fine.
Okay, that's fair.
What's that?
That's fair. That's fair.
Alan?
Yeah, this is Alan, for Bruce and so on, just with the payment of the PV. As far as I know, he still owes us a TV monitor for the solar for the school. So just, we want to see that still. And I don't know whether we have a clear answer on the meter. There's a meter change out. And whether we now have a meter that we're getting paid off of because there was a wrong meter put in. So those be two things to watch.
Okay,
We'll have to check with.
yeah,
We'll call Brandon right
we'll
now.
check with him.
Okay, thank you.
What was the timeline for finishing this project? Was it 3 or 4 more weeks before all the gutters and everything was put in?
Originally, or
No, I mean,
right
from
now?
now,
From now, Bruce, how long is it gonna take you to get the gutter, additions done?
We'll start it next week.
So, and then 1 week roughly is the time that it's gonna take to do it?
Yeah, I mean, first day or two, get everything not figured out, but you know, we gotta cut it to the roof and then. The guys will probably make some of the scupper boxes on site, with a break in the back of the truck. As long as it's not, you know, raining, yeah, weather permitting, yeah, a week, you know, a day or two more, won't be much less, but won't be much more than that.
so in 3 or 4
Can-
weeks, this project is over.
Up to the point we gotta still do final inspections. Bruce, there's still an inspection with, our building department that needs to be passed yet. I think you pulled the permit on the roof, so.
So the building inspector wants to go look at the roof, is that what you're saying?
I believe he's gonna have to pass off his
Mhm.
permit with you, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Just a question. The original roofing project was obviously done in the evenings. I'm assuming Bruce can do these gutters and scuppers during the day, or does that have to be evening work as well?
How disruptive is it?
It's not very disruptive at all.
Can be done during the day as long as we have advance notice.
Yeah.
Can I,
Okay. All right.
about just the closeout of some of the action items left over that are potentially under warranty or the scope of the work? I don't know if I missed that part of the conversation.
No,
but
we didn't have that, yeah.
Bruce, could you talk, or Paul, about some of the action items that were identified that should be corrected under the scope of the original project?
I don't know of any that need to be corrected, to be honest with you. I mean, everything was done up there to standard and to warranties with John's Manville. There was a couple probably flashing details that were changed for the better. I don't know of any action items at all. Everything's flashed. We went out last time. We walked out there, Paul was out there, the John Manville inspector was out there, and he had no punch list. He had no issues with nothing on the roof at all. So I don't know if there's any at all. I know I see something with a couple details that were changed, but they were changed, like vent stack flashings, or they're solid copper, you know. I don't know of any at all. So maybe Paul knows a couple, but I don't know any.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add, Bruce, is that, you know, we want to make sure that the one unit, I guess, that we had the leak on, that's been sealed up and there's no issue with that, because I don't know that we had anything in writing that you had addressed that. The manufacturer looked at it as well.
The reason why it leaked, it wasn't the flashing, it was because the drain was full of debris 100% and just flooded the roof up above the flashing height. So my guys have cleaned that drain out many times. It was full of leaves and those helicopters and stuff. So I was out there last time I was out there with Bill and Alan, and there was no leaks. And I asked Bill yesterday, there's been no leaks. I think we just had some backups that we need to eliminate. I think it'll be all set, but I have not heard of any leaks or checked anything. But I mean, all the flashings are done, everything's clear. I don't know of any action items.
Yeah, do these have termination bars, or how did it get above? I guess I'm trying to question, how did it get above a flashing height when we, you know, usually we have a term bar at the top of those if we're keeping existing blocking.
Well, it was that unit is sleepers, Paul, and there's really no way to get turn bars, so we have to get underneath there, and it's underneath the cat flashings. So turn bars usually on a wall and not on a sleeper like that. But I mean, the leaves were, I mean, I wasn't there to witness it, but my guys were out there, and the water got so high that the leaves are stuck under the counter flashing. So the leaves didn't just get there, so they floated up there and went underneath there.
Yeah.
And, you know, once it gets above a certain height, you know, that's where our roofing stops. So, and we, you know, we secured it some more, and I just think you need to, like you said, we cut a relief scupper over there so that, so the water, when it gets above that drain basket, it doesn't continue to go higher than the outside perimeter. It's going to be cut through so the water would come off the side of the building. And that's what the overflows are for.
The only other thing that we identified is, well, two preventative measures. One, snaking of a drain or two, that the ones that had clogged, I don't know if all of them were snaked, but we're not looking to snake every drain on the roof, but we want to identify, if there are any identified as issues, we would want a snake or two on the roof. And then also, we talked about flood testing the one trough that had it backed up that was leaking, because we want it still requires a seal, a tight, watertight seal between the trough and the roof. And we want to make sure that any leaking trough, and not that we want these to fill up again, but in the event that they did, it needs to be watertight. So those, the committee had talked about flood testing one of the troughs or maybe two of the troughs and snaking a couple drains. And then that would be, that's what we had on our list.
We did snake one of them on one of the sloped roofs. We went down, I think, 80 feet. There was something in there that we didn't, I have to talk to Jay. I think he got through it. But I mean, like I said, a lot of these drains were supposed to go to outside downspouts, and that's not how they were. They were interior piping. So, and the drain is small there. It's only like, we couldn't put a drain in that area. We put a copper insert because the drain wouldn't fit into that gutter due to the steel beam structure in there. So I'll look at that again when I get out there, when we put these scupper boxes in and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as it all done, as far as flood testing, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I don't, it's not designed to hold water, you know, so. The roofs are designed to get rid of water, Paul, not to hold water.
I'm in agreement with you, Bruce, although I have to disagree on the statement that they're not designed to hold water. I mean, in a backup situation, they need to hold water for at least for a certain amount of time until it can hit an overflow drain. I mean, that's the case with any roof, right? I mean, if a primary backs up on a common roof, it's got to hold water until it hits that secondary.
Well, we could put a couple inches of water in there, but I mean, once it gets above the flashing height, it's our flashing heights are only, you know, I mean, the standard industry is 8 inches. It's good to have 12 inches, but you don't always have that, you know, so.
Yeah.
I mean, we did strip off the inside of that, but that design ain't there out there with the drip edge with the modified going into the gutter. It's not designed to hold water. It has to get rid of the water, you know, and that's the issue that you had before. And we did go on the inside and strip it off with some more EPDM from the drip edge to the gutter. And you know, the water needs to get off of there. Those drains are very small and they're not big at all. And like I pointed out to you guys, a few leaves will clog those beehives. We call them beehives or strainers. And then you got all this backup. So getting rid of this water, you know, being overflows, and that's what they're for, overflow. So, yeah. I mean, we could put water in there. I mean, whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, so.
I want to make it clear that I agree in concept that getting water off these roofs quicker is the idea behind improving the overflow drainage. So we're all in agreement on that. But at the same time, they still have to hold water to a certain, the trough itself has to be sealed tight to the roof. If we don't have those seals, then, you know, that maybe that's belt and suspenders at this point, but that's required by the roof itself. And I think the manufacturer would agree that we need that tight seal.
Paul, if I may suggest, I think, you know, based on your discussions right now, since the contractor is going to be out there next week, if there's anything remaining on your punch list or that you saw in your field visit last week, you know, as far as snaking a specific drain, work with Alan to identify that. But I would like a final punch list issued with a corresponding, you know, marked up roof plan with notes need be to guide the contractor. You know, if he's going to be out there and these are quick hits and we can just get it done, let's get it done. Let's get it identified clearly so we're not back in this situation. And then I wanted to make sure there was responses were included to the the questions and concerns brought up by the building official, I think on page 6 and 7 of the meeting packet. Specifically, I know there was some concerns on flashing of rooftop units. And if you could address those, and based on your field visit last week and discussions with the building official, are we set there? Or is there any additional work that needs to be done? I just want to make sure we're clear and we address all of those concerns this morning.
Yeah. Aside from the large RTUs that we talked about, the common fan units and small mechanical units, we do call to lift and new curbing, new flashing, and refasten those down to the roof. Now, the building official had reported to us that there were some fans that were not fastened. They were just put back down on the curbs and they weren't fastened to the roof, which is required. And Bruce, you can weigh in if maybe one or two of them, I don't know how many locations, but it was reported to us that they weren't installed properly back down on the roof after the new curbing and flashing went down. So that's another thing we would want to take a quick survey around the roof, make sure all of those smaller units are properly fastened.
We'll check the fastening out and make sure they're fastened. I think the guys did do that, but we'll check them out there.
Okay,
As
so
far
Paul,
as-
yeah, if you could list that, Paul, in your notes. And then I guess specifically what I heard on the large RTUs, and I agree, typically we don't have cranes out there picking the large rooftop units off so they could be reflashed. But if there is a specific T-bar termination, whether that had some counter flashing that they were able to pull out and lip under, or whether there should be a T-bar there, I think we need to confirm that detail as well per the manufacturer's standards to make sure that we're not doing anything to jeopardize warranty.
The manufacturer has looked at this roof twice, once originally, and he had, he didn't really have any punches items, and he was out there again, and he didn't have no issues at all. And he walked the whole roof like he was there for a couple hours. He didn't just drive by. He was there. He looked at them all, and I had him looking at them all, and he also talked to us about the overflow scuppers and stuff. So.
Yeah. And to clarify for the committee, the whole issue with lifting large units, and I stand corrected because I had mentioned that we do, and on many roofs we do lift the large units to flash underneath them, but that's only when they're tight to the roof and we can't get additional roofing insulation under them. In this case, when they're tall enough above the roof, then there's no issue. We can roof right under, get the proper insulation heights and the proper flashing heights. So in this case, it saves money not to lift them, obviously, and there's no need to if you have the proper clearances. And in this case, we did. So I hope that's clear. I agree with Scott that we can make sure with the manufacturer that we'll go back to the original shop drawings, and the detail that was provided, that matches. I want to go back and see it for myself, and that would be the last thing that I'd want to check.
So on that topic, though, we have had water come into the building at the point of at least one of those large units, right? And so I know that our building official seemed concerned that the reason for that was the lack of lifting and I guess getting further under there. So are we, what has been done since that leak event in September to ensure that doesn't happen again, I guess, in lieu of following the original plan specs?
The water was a foot high or whatever. I can't say a foot. I didn't really see it, but the drain was clogged and it goes above our flashing height. And, once you get underneath that it's not a unit like you see a unit. It's more like it's dunnage. Those two units are sitting on dunnage. So there's no really roof curb there, more or less. It's dunnage, and all the ductwork goes through the wall, and the electrical goes through the wall. So it just that the water got higher than the flashing heights and came in. It could have came in anything. Could have came in one of the penetrations that go through the top, and we don't know. But the thing is to get the water off of that. And we did go in there and add additional sealant and stuff and some more membrane in there. Haven't had an issue, but we did clean the gutter out. And I do have pictures that I can show you of the gutter the drain being like 100% plugged. Like just because that's kind of in a hole. That roof is down in a hole, so anything that blows around the roof just lands down to the bottom and collects there. So and that's what happened there. So
Yeah. So
and we've had some serious rain since then, and not an issue. Once that drain was free, we've had a lot of rain since September and micro bursts and everything, and it hasn't been one issue when the drain was working properly.
Alan?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for us still, seal and tiles have been one of our, expenses that we still want seal and tile reimbursement yet for us.
We'll take care of that, Alan.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. We actually had a motion on the floor to pay this bill, however, there was a motion to pay the bill, and then we got into whether or not we're gonna have the waiver from Imperial. We can add that to the motion, or we cannot pay it. What is your pleasure? We got,
Just wanted to note that there are 2 invoices in question here, and I don't believe that the change order has been approved.
I didn't hear what she said.
Change order still needs to be approved. I guess everyone has to vote on the change order yet.
Oh, okay. So even the next item then is part of that.
We'll keep the two separate.
That 40,775.
The 22,000 plus change order was approved, but the second and later change order that we have been discussing has not been approved. At the same, I make the same point I made earlier, and maybe we can get some help from Alan and Paul on this. Get the specifics in there, the price, the amount, the owner's responsibility, make that clear. And it'll go through, and that will authorize our finance department to cut the check. To me, that's all we need is specific. I was not taking notes during this discussion. So if there was if we can't approve the motion, I'd support it. I've already said I'd support it, but I'd like to know exactly what was that going in terms of specifics, which I won't repeat because I already made.
So if I'm understanding correctly, we're back to discussing the change, because we did approve the change order for the steppers. That was officially taken care of. If we wanted to move forward with the second change order that was in your packet was on page 24, which is in regards to the solar array. So that would require a motion if in fact the committee was moving forward with the solar array change order on page 24.
And so, Maria, I could make a motion, but I would need, I could probably go to a different screen and find it, but in the interest of everybody's time, I think that if there would be, I would move that we approve the second change order in the amount of, I'll get that filled in, as set forth on page 24 of the agenda packet. Now, what's our amount again?
The amount was $42,921.20.
All right, thank you, Maria.
Welcome.
Add that to the motion, and there was a specific reference to page number of the agenda, and I would want Ned to basically hear what the motion is and make it and accept and note that it authorizes the second change order.
Do I have a second on that? David? Okay, all in favor of that.
Favor, yeah.
Now, who signs off on that change order? Yeah. Who signs off on that change order?
I will.
You do? Okay.
I just get a little clarity. Amanda, do we also need a motion to pay that as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's 2 invoices, pay application number 3 and pay application number 4 that both need to be approved.
And what's our page of the packet?
Those are 18 through 21.
And just to, the change order included, extra costs for the PV modules, additional mounting they had to do and the labor to do that. Labor costs for PV system installation, increased administration costs, and they actually helped with the application to Eversource also for getting Eversource to allow us to run the PV system so that we would get reimbursed. So they helped in that process also.
The figure that Maria gave us about 5 minutes ago, is the correct total figure for this change order or change orders. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Alan, you said it, are you satisfied with that? I think that's a yes.
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 Okay. I am ready, I have no further questions or comments, I am ready to vote unless another committee member.
And so where are we on these two bills? We now can pay them?
We've cleared the change order, right? So now there's two.
We should need a vote to authorize this change order that is, and pages to follow page 18.
I think the change order we've completed action on. So now we need to take action on pay application 3 and pay application 4. The amounts are listed on page 17. Together, they are $44,603.64, I believe. If you add 38,2850 and 40,775.14. I don't think there's a reason why a motion can't be made to approve 3 and 4 for the aggregate amount. If Maria confirms that with that, right?
That's fine. It was my intent that was the motion.
All right, we're just double checking the math, the sum total here.
I'm getting 46,749.70 for the combined amounts of application 3 and 4.
4,6,749,70.
Well, I'm going on page 17, and you don't get to 46,000 by adding pay application to 3 in the amount of 38,2850 and pay application 4 in the amount of 40,770. It's
Oh,
definitely.
it's 4.
The other, the change order amount of 42,921.
Sorry about that. Okay, yep. I used the
Yeah.
other amount.
So yeah, if you add, it's 44,603.64.
Agreed.
44,664.
603.64. 44, comma 603.64. So somebody want to make that motion to approve pay applications 3 and 4 in the amount of 44,603 and 64 cents?
So move.
Second, David, all in favor? Aye, unanimous. Future meetings?
We'll schedule another one for a month from now, roughly.
Well, maybe when everything is done.
Yeah.
It's almost been 4 years.
Yes.
Didn't we have, we're kicking around dates, I can't remember.
The first week of December.
It was December 5th, is that a thing? I thought that stuck in my head, maybe that was from a different discussion. Is that the first Wednesday? Tuesday. Not Tuesday. I don't know why I had December 5th necessarily in my head. Must have been from a different meeting. Do we typically meet on Wednesdays, or is that just for this meeting because it was a special meeting?
Perhaps, I mean, yeah, maybe the 5th or 6th, depending on people's availability.
Well, if we're close to the end of it, we might as well wait until it's over. I mean, at this point.
We'll set it tentatively.
Yeah, I would
and then
schedule it, and then if we don't need the meeting, I guess
we'll move it.
Yeah,
move it.
but I would put it on the calendar and have the date locked. Right now, either day is kind of the same for me. If we're doing the 8:30 start, I guess, Tuesday or Wednesday. So I don't know if anybody else has a preference for the 5th or the 6th.
If I could request a Wednesday, Tuesdays are kind of tough for me. Not that I have any say, but
That's fine with me. I bowl on Thursday, so.
6 to 8:30.
All
Yeah,
right.
Ryan, I think there's another engagement on the 5th as well
Oh,
with the other project.
okay, that's why I had the 5th in my head.
Yeah.
There's a reason. Okay, so then, yeah, it's not, I guess the Outlook invite hasn't gone out for that yet, but. All right, yes, so we'll do the 6th at 8:30.
And we'll change if needed, or we'll put out a notice.
Okay. And if I may really just briefly, last December, Doug had spoken to both, I think Bruce and Paul, put together a list of the closeout requirements required by the specifications. I'm going to have Doug reissue that list and then work with Alan, work with design, and work with construction to make sure that each box is checked on that list. So I just wanted to let this group know that
Right.
we're gonna reissue that closeout information.
right. We'll confirm that everything has been addressed. I believe it has, but we'll confirm everything has. So I will dig up that list today and send it out.
Again, I want to reiterate, I think the idea is, I believe that, with the punch list items that may be remaining, that, we should only need one more. We don't know if there's gonna be anything unusual in the field conditions, the plant and, subsequent inspections, but it sounds to me as if this project is fundamentally finished.
All right,
We'll hear him, but okay.
And if there are outstanding bills, then we need to meet, obviously, as we did.
Okay, you have a motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Bill? Paul, you all set?
Yep, I am.
Unanimous. Meeting is over at.
Thank you, everyone.
9:27.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.